Hey guys, Zero here. My first video I'm finally getting to. I've decided to do a Pokemon FAQ, question and answer, video. I'm hoping to add more to my set, but here's the first one, so wish me luck. This idea for this video was brought to my attention from a friend of mine named Joodle Magi. The title of this video is Types and Type Disadvantages. I'm going to cover the basic types and their advantages and disadvantages of each Pokemon. There were 15 single types, just one by itself, if you were to just label one, in Generation 1 when they first started off. Then come Generation 2, they end up adding 2 more. And those 2 were Steel and Dark type. They end up continuing to keep the same 17 from Generation 2 to Generation 6. They later on, now, as rumor has it, they added a 18th. Number 18 is Fairy. Like I said, just a rumor that I've heard around and saw in some information here and there. I'm not entirely sure that it's true. Okay, so as I described, I'm going to do the types and type disadvantages, each one individually in a row, of what they're strong against and what they're weak against. So, what hurts what? Well, the list goes all over the place. Think elements first. Fire burns grass, and grass grows with water, and water puts out fires. This simple 3 basics. Simple, right? So, I'm going to lay down each type and each type advantages to you all. Let's start off with normal. Not very many people like normals. Normal types don't have very great strength against anything, honestly. But it does make up in powerful and very useful attacks and skills like Hyper Beam and False Swipe. However, it does have weak points like all other types do. First one is Fighting type. And the second is Ghost. Ghosts are immune to attacks, to normal type attacks. It's kind of like hitting at thin air. Basically. Unless you end up having a certain move that allows you to finally hit Ghost type, such as Odor Self or Foresight. I said that they make up in their skills and attacks. Well, some normal types are immune to confusion due to their abilities, and there are some that have different abilities, like they don't fall asleep, insomnia. That's a lot of other types that get that, but their attacks really make up for their type. Hyper Beam is a very strong attack. It's 150 powerhouse. Yes, it has to reload, but starting in the beginning, in Generation 1, that used to be the most powerfulest and strongest hit point hitter. Second to Super Fang. Super Fang cuts your opponent's life points and your opponent's HP by half of what it is. That was another great Pokemon catch attack, and still is, just like False Swipe. False Swipe is another great attack that allows you to knock down opponent's life points closest to red without knocking it out. The second type is Fighting. Fighting types, as I said, can take out a normal type pretty easy. But they can also knock out Rock, Ice, Steel, and Dark types. It's like Jackie Chan punching a wall. Sheetrock, you take your fist and, well, you shatter it. Well, if you have enough power behind a force, you can smash a solid object. That's the whole idea of it. With dark type, I kind of think of them as being fighting type, the superheroes. I mean, you end up having three that they really based the Pokemon off of superheroes almost, because they protect the Pokemon themselves. Verizon, Cobalion, and Terracoin. These three have an ability called Justify. If they're hit by a dark type move, their physical attacks power up. These Pokemon are part fighting type, so I kind of look at it as, well, they're kind of like superheroes, and dark type, the villains. Dark types are like the supervillains, as I said, so you have counteraction. They're fighting types able to knock out the villain. Normal types are just like regular citizens. Say Superman is fighting, and then you have a normal being, me. If I get punched by him, I'm done. And I'm pretty much sure everyone else is KO'd as well. But weaknesses, however, for them are hard to recover from for fighting types. You get hit by a flying type, psychic, poison, or ghost type. You can lead pretty much downhill. I say ghost type because like I said, you go swing at thin air. You're not going to do anything to it. You're just going to go, ooh, wow, went through it. You need foresight, as I said. That's why a lot of fighting types have that foresight, so they can hit a ghost type. In other words, if you have that foresight, I think, don't quote me on this, I did that once with one of my Machamps, and I ended up hitting a ghost type, and it was super effective. Normal won't do that, though. You use foresight and hit him with a normal attack, and it's not super effective. It does regular damage. But don't quote me on that. I haven't fully checked that out, and I'm sorry. Poison types don't take much damage. They basically go over here and get punched, and they're like, oh, by the way, you're poisoned. Because a lot of poison types have poison pin, such as Nidoran, Nidorino, Nidorina, and Nidoqueen and Nidoking. But they basically brush it off. Who cares? Another type I didn't add is ground type. You punch the ground, you're going to hurt your fist. They're not going to take much damage. Even though rock and ground kind of intertwine almost, they're still not going to take much damage. Type number 3. These flying beauties, aka flying type, are great when you need a lift to a town, or just like messing with some fighting types. But not just fighting types. You have grass, bug, fighting, and ground type that hate flying types. They have the worst time with these wings, with the wings of theirs. Ground type aren't really weak against flying type in terms of weakness and type disadvantage. They can't hit them. It's like a bird flying and there's an earthquake going on, and it's like, it's not going to feel anything. You're not doing anything to it. But for the attack to actually hit it, you would have to disable it with an item, ground it somehow, like Mold Breaker, that would keep levitating another form of flying. It kind of levitate, that ability allows you to give, say, an electric type the levitate ability, and they're immune to ground type attacks now. Flying tends to be a real pain in the butt sometimes if it's used against you. Especially if it's double-sided, like Charizard. Charizard has 2 types. However, ground type do have a type breaker for this. Ground types like Geodude, Graveler, and Golem, for example, have a second type, Rock. But most ground types can also learn Rock type attacks. That is one of the many weaknesses that the Flying type have. Rock, Ice, and Electric all are super effective towards Flying type. So, yeah, freeze a bird, you hit it with a rock, or you're going to fry it, and it's going to go down. Poison type. Now, these guys are a very nasty bunch. All of these poisoning and such. I hate Toxic. One of the many attacks that I hate because the poison gets worse as it just proceeds in battle. Basically, you are screwed if you don't have a poison heal or a poison cure berry in the later generations, or a full heal or a Pecha berry or something. Poison type eat away at grass. Don't understand that. But they're super effective against them. They're also super effective against bugs. If the bug isn't a poison type, such as Beedrill. Beedrill is bug/poison. Poison doesn't do well with against another poison. They don't get poisoned. Or they do nil damage. But if you have a poison type with a different attack, poison, you can defend and attack at the same time. However, they do hate ground and psychic. I'm trying to figure out how they thought of the ground and the psychic type mashup, but those 2 types are super effective against poison. And steel type, forget that. Switch out your Pokemon right away if there's a steel type coming. Lucario or Steelix or anything with steel in it, it is not going to do anything. Ha! I poisoned you. Yeah, no. It didn't hurt. It didn't even... Okay, you spit on me. Pretty much. And ground type. Let's go to there now. Like I said before, these guys are great against poison, but they do great damage to electric, fire, rock, and steel types as well. So they're a pretty big powerhouse. They got a lot of strengths. Electric types fail badly against them because, well, it's like having a ground wire. You ground your wire and no one's going to get electrocuted. Does no damage. However, weaknesses suck. They can't hit flying. Water and grass and ice hurt it. It's basic science. Erosion. Ice, plants, and rainwater wash away minerals and stuff, just like they do in Pokemon. So it's like super effective. In erosion, basic science. Same thing goes with rock type. Rock type doesn't like water, grass, ice, because same thing, erosion. But they're also weak against steel, fighting, and ground type. A lot of weaknesses there. Steel, because it's like diamond and talcum. Diamond's going to smash a talcum in dust. And fighting type, like I said, put your Jackie Chan punching a or you can do it. A dirt clog, for instance, you punch it and it just shatters into dust. Pretty much the same idea. But ground type as well. It's like an earthquake opening up and the rocks just falling in. Um, so, again, erosion sucks. But they do have their advantages. Normal type and dark type. If a rock were to get hit by any of those attacks, such as a bite or a tackle, the rock's going to look at them, laugh, because two things. One, the dark type broke its teeth, and two, you just headbutted a rock. Bravo. So, very weak damage. Strong resistance. But they are super effective against fire, bug, poison. Well, no, not poison. Poison is the same category as dark and normal. Very little damage. But fire, bug, and flying. You throw a rock at a fire, or add a couple more, you'll end up doing super effective damage. You crush a bug with a rock. Plain simple. And flying type, oh look, bird. Well, bird's out. So, there's the rock type and the ground type. Bugs. These guys seem to draw the short end of the stick. I personally like bug type. I mean, I have my favorites like Butterfree and Scyther. But they really are weak. Low defense, low attack. I can go on. But they are weak against flying, rock, and fire, just to start off. And let's not talk about the double types. Well, let's talk about double types. If you add another type to them, they can either, you can throw it out, it survives, or it's going to have hell surviving. A good defense Pokemon is Fortress. You go from Pinecone, which is a bug, and a rock. Well, it evolves into Fortress. Fortress is a steel and a bug. So, it gives it pretty good defense. The defense goes up. Yeah, great. Unfortunately, if you get hit by a fire type, it went from ×2 to ×4 damage. And, well, Fortress don't like fire. Sorry, I'm sick. They make up, however. They do have strong points. Everything has a strong point. Bugs found theirs. Grass, grasshopper eats away at the grass. Grass starts wilting and dying. Psychic, I don't know. Don't ask me. And dark. Like I said, don't ask me. I really don't understand why they got those two matched up somehow. I don't know. But it works. I mean, I have a bug type and I use it against a dark type in the Elite Four and Crystal version, and I kick butt. Basically these three act like Misty. Hey, look, a bug. Whee! Run. But you do have your heavy hitters in Pokemon. You have a Scyther whose base stats start at like 500 just to begin. And then you have its evolved form, Scizor, and Fortress. Those are strong defense Pokemon. Just watch out for the fire. They also have things like spikes. Fortress can throw out spikes, and then if you manage to get if you're in like a double battle or triple battle, like Whirlwind, and you can switch, keep spamming them. But they do have awesome attacks as well. You have Fierce Swipe. It gets stronger as it hits. Yes, the accuracy sucks, but their abilities are awesome as well. Their attacks and their abilities make up, as well as their ability to grow so fast. I mean, just in the first 10 levels, you can get a Butterfree from a Caterpie. Yeah, you'll take a little bit because they are weak, but a molded Pokemon that is taken care of and raised with love and care. I'm getting too mushy, sorry. Anyhow, let's move on to Ghost type. These spooky guys are have appeared in the first generation, basically almost having no weaknesses other than Ghost, Psychic, and Ground type. But that's before they gave them Levitate. The whole reason why their super effective weakness is Ground is because you only had 3 Ghosts: Ghastly, Hunter, and Gengar. They're part poison. Instantly, there's a weakness there. But if it was by itself, Ground type really has no say in hurting it at all, basically. But another Ghost and a Psychic can hurt a Ghost. Basically, psychic abilities. You ain't gonna. If you have a Psychic missed, you're going to hit it with another psychic ability. The only way that you can hit it. And due to it being poison, if you have the poison / Ghost type, the Psychic type end up hitting it is going to cost ×4 damage. That's why Ghastly, Hunter, and Gengar really don't like Kadabra, Abracadabra, and Alakazam. But they added a new weakness, Dark type. It's like, oh, I'm going to hide in the shadows, and the shadows attack you. Well, if you hide in the shadows, shadows can control you, and, well, like I said, villains, they cause a lot of trouble for everyone. But they have their strengths. Fighting and normal types are immune. Come on, buddy, hit me. Ha! You suck. Unfortunately, you can't hit normal type either. Ghastly, use Lick. It did no damage because it's a Ghost. Go figure. Well, let's see. But they are... I'm sorry, I'm really sick. Weakness is their strength. Like I said, a Ghost can take out a Ghost type, but it can also take out a Psychic. Like I said, Psychic powers hurt the Psychic. But Dark, you ain't gonna do squat at all. Dark is gonna laugh at you going, ha! Now, who's in charge again? Next type, Steel type. These guys first appeared, as the Dark type did, in Generation 2, being no strength against Rock, Ice, and Poison types. They basically going, what's up, bro? You got nothing on me. I'm the strong powerhouse, and I'm better than my cousin, the Rock type. And possibly better than my cousin, the Steel type. Oh, wait, he's my weakness. No. They are unaffected by poison at all. One of the greatest trump cards when it comes to, oh, I'm going to throw my Muck, toxic, and you got a Steelix in front of you going, what is this? Sludge puddle? Ew. Clean up after yourself, man. Come on. It does nothing. And anything else has very little strength against them. However, there are a few, like I said, fire. Ooh, fire. You gotta melt down the metal so you can form it and everything. So Steel type don't like being formed and molded, considering they're already being formed and molded. And fighting type, like I said, is if it's a solid form, it's got to be smashed. And ground type, well, it's a form of rock. If you watch Avatar, you understand. Steel is a form of a rock, the minerals and everything. So a ground type can shatter that. And let's move on to. I'm going to leave the 4 basic types for last. Well, in my opinion. Psychics. Let's move on to them. These future seers are great against poison, ghost, fighting, and other psychics. Ghost and psychics, like I said, gotta beat a psychic with the psychic ability. And fighting type, I'm sorry, you got a better mind set than someone that just swings and bleh. You can outsmart someone with brute strength. Take Batman and Bane. Batman kicks ass. But they also take out poison. However, they're weak against steel. I don't understand that. I mean, Kadabra and Alakazam both have spoons, and that's kind of metal, and they bend them with their minds. Yet, they do little damage. I don't understand that. But, Dragon, Steel, and Bugs. They don't like these three. They do very little damage to the Dragon type, and they do very little damage to Steel type. They don't like bug types. And like I said, they're like Misty, and they go, "Ew, don't touch me." Along with their major weakness, I think that's where they were trying to balance it out. As I'm a psychic and you're a dark type, I'm going to beat the villain. No, the villain's going to beat you. Yeah, basically, you end up getting hit by a psychic attack, and your dark type's going to go, what'd you do again? They basically will laugh in their face. When you use you use an Espeon versus an Umbreon, and Umbreon's going to laugh at the Espeon because you can't hurt it. The only psychic attack that might hit it is Future Sight. But, so, like I said, Dark, Bug type. Gotta watch out for those two. Those are the strong ones, and Psychic as well. Psychic and Ghost. Another type is Ice. Yes, Ice is cold and beautiful, like an Articuno. One of my favorites, by the way. But they know how to hurt the earth elements, as I call it. That'd be the ground, rock, ground, rock, and grass. If it freezes, your plants will suffer. If you, like I said, erosion, the ground and rock, they'll break down. They'll split and crack. But flying types don't like getting caught in a blizzard either. So there's another weakness that they're strong. Another type that they're strong against. A major one that I dislike myself is dragon type, but that's like flying and dragon type are like the feathers. You know, birds don't like the cold; they huddle up and puff in a ball, and lizards don't like cold. Period. Basic science, as I said. But they balance it out. Okay, a balanced mind can shatter their hopes, and a burning spirit can melt them away. I use this metaphor when it comes to the ice type, because you have a fighting type, balanced mind. I can break and focus. If I focus all my chi, my fist, I can break an piece of ice. If I have a kinderly spirit, fire type, I can melt that ice and turn it into water. Yeah, that sounds like a bad idea, but due to it being Pokemon, you got a good set right here. Unless it is part water, like Cloyster. And fire types go over here and do normal damage. But... oh, sorry. Steel type, take it easy. They basically look at... their Steel type is very, like I said, a strong powerhouse. And they take out just about anything they want. So, the cold steel. Cold as steel. So no, hardly any damage. And same thing goes with water. Water is a form of water. Ice, or ice is a form of water. So it doesn't really hurt them, even though you think it. Oh, I freeze you. No, it doesn't work that way. Then, like I said, the villains of the bunch, Dark type. They terrorize the other Pokemon, especially Ghost and Psychic types. Except they do have the Hero type to worry about. Like I said, Fighting type. So it's Hero versus Villain. And they don't like Bugs type, creeping along in their darkness, so they get a little creeped out themselves. Steel type, like I said, is like a dark, like you biting a rock. It's gonna hurt, and if you bite something steel, it's really gonna hurt. And so they got that strong advantage, like their cousin, the rock type. Like I said, I was gonna skip the 4 basic types that I consider the 4 basics: grass, water, fire, and electric. 4 elements. Let's start with fire. Fire is one of the basic types, like I said. Grass, bug, steel, and ice are weak against it. However, they don't do too well against other fires. It's like fighting fire with fire. That analogy doesn't work. Fire type, rock, ground, dragon, and water type. They don't do well with all of them. Basic type number 2, water. Fire, rock, ground. Hate to get wet by them. However, water isn't all that great against other water, grass, electric, and or dragon type. The 3rd basic is grass. Water, rock, and ground suffer the most. Unfortunately, its weakness is flying, fire, poison, bug, ice. That's a lot of weakness, like a rock type. They do little damage to steel type as well. And I'm still trying to form that one. A plant can go right here and erode into a rock, but it's not going to do too well trying to bend and break a sheet of metal. It's just going to bend, and it's not going to do much. And dragon types. But just like bugs, they are great at growing fast. They're really fast growers. You start off with a plant type starter, and you're going to get your final form at level 32, while everyone else with a fire and water starter has to wait until level 36. Yay, 4 more levels, and plus, I end up getting my ultimate attack, such as a solar beam, before you end up getting your hydro pump, or flamethrower, or fire blast, whatever is the final form for Charizard or whatever, any fire type, basic. They keep switching them around. But yeah. But as well as that, they get powerful moves, such as Solar Beam, and very accurate. Solar Beam is one of the top attacks that I love. Yeah, it takes a turn to charge, but its accuracy makes up for it. 100 accuracy, that's pretty badass. At 120 power, you end up hitting something like that, and you have other boosters on that, such as a Sunny Day, a Miracle Seed, and probably some other special attack boosters. You're gonna screw something up, and you're gonna be able to do it in the first hit 9 times out of 10. And the final one is kind of like a sub, because you have the 3 lockout, the 3 fire, water, grass, the 3 lockout types, but you also have the 4th one, electric. I consider it the 4th basic type. Water and flying bow in defeat. Pikachu screws Misty's Pokemon up left and right. So, I don't care what you get. My Pikachu's Thunderbolt is gonna screw your Staryu. And your little flying type, yeah, it's like being a lightning rod. But they have a very hard time when it comes to ground, steel, dragon, ghost, grass, and rock. Ground, they're immune to electric. You like I said, electric flowing, getting grounded, not going to do anything. Basic science. Electricity tries to reach the ground where it belongs. Steel type, it's, like I said, lightning rod. It's going to hit it, travel to the ground, not going to do anything hardly. Dragon type and grass. As well as rock. Rock is the same boat, basically, with the steel and the rock, ground. That leads me to two more types. The dragons. My personal favorite, but I also have a few that can use dragon type moves because they're so powerful. But they're not dragons. For instance, for all you Lucario fans out there, Lucario. Dragons are said to be, or were said to be, the most powerfulest types of the Pokemon generations. You got a Dragonite coming up towards the Elite Four, and you are going to kick some butt. 4 basic types, it basically takes hardly any damage. It's like 1/4 of damage when it comes to the 4 basics: electric, water, grass, and fire. Super lizards. But they added depending on their second type, they tended to have a major issue depending on the type. If they were flying, they would take more damage from electric type. But if they were, what's a good example? A water. Kingdra. First dragon water type. Electric attack's not going to do hardly anything, even though it's a water type, because it has that second ability of being a dragon. So it's just going to do normal damage. And ice, which is one of Dragon's weakness, is cut because of its being part water. So it's an awesome Pokemon to have. The only thing that can honestly hit it with a super effective move is another dragon type. Like I said, dragons can only hurt a dragon. It's like a diamond can only scratch a diamond. And ice. Like I said, they're like a giant lizard. They don't like the cold. But I kind of consider dragon types being almost a close representative, the closest group to Mew. Not because of the type, but because their abilities. Mew is the only Pokemon created that, out of the series, that is created to use every single attack. It can learn any HM, any TM it wishes. Dragon types have taken and evolved from that, in my opinion. They honestly take a bit of that and are able to learn 90% of all the attacks. I've come up with very little Pokemon moves that it's not able to learn. But they do have their weaknesses, like I said. Ice, Dragon, and they don't do well against Steel. Steel looks at them and going, "Heh, Super Lizard, not too super to me." But that's that. And the 18th. Don't worry, I haven't forgot about it. The rumor has it is that they added a new fairy, a new type. They added on, as the rumor is said, they added it to the last evolution of Eevee, or possibly the last evolution. Eevee tends to be turning into a Digimon in a way, like all the rest of them in X and Y. Generation X and Y games are adding new DNA splicing and everything, and they literally took the idea from in Generation 1 of Mew and Mew 2. So they're really meshing it up and really getting into it like they wanted to. But as far as I know, it's just a rumor that it may or may not be a fairy type. I've also heard that the final type of Eevee's evolution, newest evolution, is flying. But I don't know. I kind of looking at the fairy type as a new even number set types, and Eevee representing basically the basic type format of what they got. Fairy types, as I've heard, are, as rumor says, they're super effective against dragon types. So that adds another weakness to dragons that they gotta worry about. And I feel sorry for them. A lot of Pokemon I see probably being turned to a fairy is, well, the fairies, Clefairy, Clefable, and Cleffa. And possibly a couple others. But I don't know. We'll see as they finally release it and show us. Anyhow, so those are the types and the type disadvantages for each. Remember, some have two types. So you got to, a good trainer would evaluate. I have a flying / ice type, Articuno. So let's see, rock, ice, fighting does half damage now, and a couple other good attacks, like electric, can knock out my Articuno now. Due to the dual types, you have a advantage and disadvantage to the Pokemon now. A couple new ones. What would have been its weakness, the second type covers it and defends you. The only known two Pokemon that I know of as of right now that do not have any known weakness are Salvii and Spiritomb. They have the perfect two-type combination. Ghost and Dark. A fighting type can't hit a Dark. So, Ghost. So, they have an immunity. And they're just basically getting stronger and stronger, as I've heard. So, fairy type, rumor, I don't know, maybe. But, there you have it. The types and type disadvantages. Anyhow, I'm sick. I'm not feeling too well. But I promised that I'll do this, and I did it. I hope you enjoyed this vid. If you would like to see anything else or have a question that you would like me to cover, because I know just about anything when it comes to Pokemon, I've studied into it on purpose. Leave a comment below. Subscribe if you please, if you want. And check out some of my other stuff. I have some Final Fantasy stuff, and if I get a request for something else, I'll put it up. As of right now, this is it. Until then, sayonara.